After spending so much time on the road with all that crazy travel, just how nice is it to have the group in a familiar territory in the practice facility today?
It was great. I think yesterday was a good day for us too, to get a little rest coming off that thing. And then today was a good day. Guys kind of took what they needed. It wasn't like a full team practice. Some guys needed rest, some guys needed a little bit of recovery, some guys needed to play. So we got everybody what they needed today.
And we were just talking to Case, and obviously we know what he's capable of defensively, but it feels like over the last 5 games or so, he's had like a lot of blocks on jump shots, and you've seen that ramp up a lot this season. What are you seeing out of him that's allowing him to pick up a lot more of those plays?
It's just not a very common thing to see. Like blocking a jump shot's incredibly difficult because you need to have length, you have to have athleticism, and then just great timing. And he's got that, and so really impressive. He seems to have won a game. There's some game, I think it was Golden State, on the road. He had like 3 or 4 of them. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So it's a great skill.
Did you learn anything out of your Vegas experience, the Cup, and then of course stepping right back into play with 2 road games?
Yeah, I thought, the last 5 games have been really good for us. First of all, playing high-level opponents. Every opponent's a top half defense. Some of those defenses are top in the league, Houston and Orlando. So that obviously is a great experience to figure out what's translating and what isn't. Same thing on our defense, guarding good teams with good players. The elevated stakes were good. I thought there was some intensity around those games. The distractions are good, to be able to cut through a very non-traditional regular season environment, I thought was good for our team. Like anything else, over a 5-game stretch, there's a lot of positives and there's a lot of things we can improve on, but I thought overall it was really, good couple weeks for us.
You played mainly Western Conference teams to start your season. Now you got to go East, Washington, a couple road games against East. Anything you can learn from that standpoint, East versus West, in terms of, you don't play them twice a year, those kind of things?
Yeah, the toughest thing about it is just the familiarity. You just develop this familiarity with teams over time when you see them as often as we do. We just saw Dallas, and we've played those guys 10 times in the last calendar year, or the last 365 days. Whereas a team like Washington, you're only going to see twice a year, and so a little less familiar with the teams and the systems. But you're at no disadvantage because they're less familiar with you for the same reason. So, see where we're at.
Billy Donovan became eligible for the Hall of Fame for this upcoming year. Considering your guys' relationship, who do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think if you look at his coaching record, I think it's pretty clean that he should be in there, especially with his run in Florida with the national championships, the sustained winning over a long period of time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in very shortly. He deserves to get in. My relationship with him is more personal. I moved to Florida. I didn't know anybody there. I spent holidays at his house my first couple of years there. His family was incredibly welcoming to me and took great care of me. That changed my life going there. I got this job coming out of there. I met Ashley in Florida, and it was all because of the opportunities I got in that program and with him. So when his name comes up, I always drive more to my personal gratitude for him. But if we're talking about him professionally, he absolutely deserves to be there.
In the preseason, Sam talked about defensively how this team could be one that complements each other and kind of plays off one another's skill set. How have you seen them do that so far this year?
Defensively?
Defensively.
I just think there's a compounding nature to having individual defenders that can really handle their matchup, and that's not just like Lou. Obviously Lou he could dominate a matchup on some nights or neutralize a matchup on some nights, but even, guys like Isaiah Joe, he handles his matchup. Kenrich Williams, the guys that don't get the same notoriety as individual defenders, they still handle their matchup. Shea handles his matchup. And that's huge. And then you've got other guys that can really do what I just mentioned with Lou, with him, Caruso, Kaysen, Dub, Hartenstein, and Chet in the front court. And so, it compounds and it helps you on a lot of possessions.
You shuffled through a number of starting lineups this year, just some through injury, some just testing things out. One of the guys who hasn't is Caruso. What do you like about his energy off the bench and sort of what he provides?
Yeah, one of the things I like off the bench is what you're describing, is people that kind of like raise the tenor of the game. I think Kenrich Williams is like that. Like when they go in, you're like pretty sure that the game's going to go to another level, regardless of how the game started. And then I also think having guys that can like score in bunches, that's something and I think Isaiah Joe's like that. We've obviously started him, but when you've got a guy like him that can come in the game and like change a game quickly with scoring punch, those are things that traditionally I like using off the bench. And he falls in the former category, Caruso does, but he's carved out a nice niche for us there, and it's really been helpful with the bigs being injured, because he's a very valuable guy to have in small lineups, because he can guard fives and also because of just his overall impact. Dub's the other one, but Dub starts, so if you front-loaded those guys in the starting lineup, it would make it a little harder if you then downsized from your starters, so that's got something to do with it too.
You bring in a guy because Isaiah is known as a shooter. Joe, I'm talking.
Yep.
But you just talk about his defense. Mm-hmm. Do you know that when you bring him in, hey, this guy's receptive to that? Do you have to, and I'm not just him particular, but I mean just on average, do you have to, you can change a guy's attitude or whatever? Not that he didn't have the attitude, but he was just known as an offensive guy, but you're talking about his defense.
Yeah, a couple things on that. First one is, what we know when they come in, you don't know everything when anybody comes in and they're new. Even a guy like Hartenstein that has a huge body of work in the NBA, we've never seen him here, and we're still learning about his impact here and his fundamentals here and the things that he can improve to help this team at this time. So you don't know everything even with guys like that. You certainly don't know everything with a guy like Isaiah Joe, who didn't play a lot in his experiences in Philly. So there's definitely an element of discovery to that. But in general, I think it's important to remember, offense gets a lot of attention from everybody, but 50% of the game is defense. It's just the nature of the game. The offense has the ball, and they score, they don't score, and then the defense gets the ball. And the amount of possessions balances out to 50-50 or roughly every single night. And so everybody on the team and the team itself needs to be good at both if you want to be a good team. And he's a great example. He's good at both.
Just the buy-in, I guess. Everybody didn't have that buy-in. It seems like around the league.
Yeah, that's where like having competitors is important, because competitive people understand the invisible value that they can provide to help the team win. Because there's a lot of things on a basketball floor that don't get noticed, that are really invisible, but that help the team. And what I've found is the more competitive a guy is, the more committed they are to things like that. And Joe's definitely in that category.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.